Media Council of Kenya condemns police brutality to journalists during demonstrations. DP Gachagua slams Raila Odinga for failing to suspend the ongoing Azimio protests even after the government declared them illegal. CHEPKOECH is our sign language interpreter tonight. I am IMBINDA. Massive welcome to the broadcast. 4 more people have died while receiving treatment following the fatal accident that involved a Pwani University bus and a PSV vehicle in Kayole Estate, Naivasha, bringing the total fatalities to 18. Of the 18, 10 were students and 1 staff member of Pwani University, and the other 7 were passengers in the matatu. Pwani University students last night took to the streets to protest, demanding that the university be accountable. They were, however, dispersed by the police. The bus involved in the accident was ferrying students to Eldoret for a sports event. Homicide detectives from the Directorate of Criminal Investigations DCI have today exhumed the body of slain 23-year-old interior designer Jeff Mwathi as part of investigations into his death. Government pathologist Johansen Oduor conducted the fresh post-mortem in Nakuru's Likia village under the watchful eyes of the family members, including Mwathi's mother. DCI boss Mohammed Amin on Tuesday this week, while visiting the Roysambu apartment where Mwathi had fallen from the 10th floor, revealed that there were inconsistencies between witness statements and ordered for the exhumation to help fill the gaps. Popular Mugi, the singer DJ Faxto, is at the center of the murder investigations. Media Council of Kenya, MCK, has expressed his outrage over the brutal attack on journalists by police officers while covering the recent mass demonstrations organized by Azimio leaders across the country. The council has called the month of March 2023 the darkest in the history of Kenyan media, as over 25 local and international journalists have been injured by both state and non-state actors since the onset of the protests on March 20th.
Media Council of Kenya has called the month of March 2023 the darkest in the history of Kenyan media, as over 25 local and international journalists have been targeted by both state and non-state actors since commencement of the Azimio protest on March 20th. According to MCK CEO David Omoyo, the most targeted journalists were camera persons and photographers, who were attacked by perpetrators trying to prevent media from telling reality to the public, seeking to destroy any evidence captured on camera. In reference to the same, Foreign Press Association Africa condemned the police brutality on the journalists during yesterday's demonstrations, saying journalists have the right to report freely, and I quote, "The Foreign Press Association Africa condemned the continued targeted attacks on journalists by the Kenyan security officers. These attacks are unacceptable and violate the fundamental rights of journalists to report freely and without fear," end of quote. The Law Society of Kenya also condemned the attack on journalists. The head of the organization, Eric Iduri, described it as regressive, barbaric, and repulsive. Iduri said that media spotlight is preventing the police from using brutal force on protesters, hence intimidating the media, adding that Inspector General Japheth Kome should take the responsibility. As Azimio supporters continue holding their demonstrations countrywide on Mondays and Thursdays, journalists have continued to face challenges while covering the demonstrations, including attack from security officers. Mutunga Joseph, KUTV.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has today slammed Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition leader Raila Odinga for not heeding to government request to suspend the ongoing Azimio protests. Gachagua has reviewed the words he said earlier by saying that the government will not relent in fighting back with Azimio protesters whose intention is to interfere with business activities in the country. He said this during the launch of the Values and Principles Compliance Report of 2021-2022 at the Kenyatta International Convention Center.
Speaking during the launch of Public Service Commission Values and Principles Compliance Report of 2021-2022 at the Kenyatta International Convention Center today, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has rebuked opposition leader Raila Odinga of leading the Azimio protest, an action he says is ill-advised.
And these are not demonstrations. This is post-election violence. The elections was done, Supreme Court ruled, and these people have brought violence. And these are not demonstrations anymore. It's post-election violence.
Gachagua is saying that the demands Odinga is asking of President Ruto are impossible, emphasizing that Raila's intent is not to defend the right of the citizens, but to bring chaos in Kenya.
Those who are asking him to violate that constitution are being unfair to him. There is no constitutional provision in our constitution for a handshake arrangement. It's not there. The president cannot reinstate IMBC commissioners. He doesn't have that power or authority.
Gachagua says that the police will continue to protect public property in the Azimio protest and that the police will continue to arrest rowdy protesters who will try to break the law by lobbying businessmen or trying to put obstacles in their businesses.
This is a country of the rule of law. Let our officers protect life and property and let everybody go about his businesses without hindrance, without intimidation, because this is our country.
As Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua continues to hold his stand against the Azimio protest, Azimio leader Raila Odinga has urged his followers to come out in large numbers, come for next week Azimio protest. James Mureke Mwenda, KUTV.
Former Prime Minister Raila Odinga today led top Azimio la Umoja leaders in condemning Western diplomats for alleged double standards in the ongoing political impasse in the country. Raila accused the diplomats, especially the United States of America ambassador, of looking the other way, even when the government was openly out to assassinate him and other opposition leaders over the push for electoral justice and the rising cost of living. NARC Kenya leader Martha Karua said their demonstrations have always been peaceful and only turn chaotic when the police and hired goons show up, saying that no amount of intimidation will make them drop their plans, and joined Raila in telling Kenyans that next Monday will see them organize the largest demonstration in the city center.
There's no European democracy, American democracy, and African democracy. Democracy must be measured by the same standards universally. And that you cannot put development ahead of the democracy.
As was said by Julius Caesar in 049 BC, that we have crossed the Rubicon. We have reached a point of no return. And I want to tell whoever it is out there, before you kill Raila Amolo Odinga, you kill us all. You must first kill us all and pass with us.
The Kenyan National Teachers Union has expressed concerns about the impact of the weekly mass protest will have on the education calendar, claiming the protests have negatively affected learning in many schools. The party's Secretary General Collins Oyu said the protests are affecting students from slums more compared to their counterparts in more developed areas.
Colin Soyo, who is the National Teachers Union Secretary General, has expressed concerns over the ongoing protests in the country as learning activities in the affected towns have greatly been affected. According to the NAT Secretary General, students and teachers are facing challenges in completing the syllabus due to the same. This comes as schools across the country continue to bear the brunt of the protests led by leader of the Azimio One Kenya coalition against the government. Yesterday's protest, however, saw a number of students go to school across Nairobi amid opposition protests on Thursday forcing them to leave early for their homes, leading to another day going to waste as classes did not take place. This has also led to primary school teachers wanting the anti-governmental protests to be stopped, decrying disruption of the school calendar. On Monday, students in day schools were absent due to uncertainty over the security of the protests. Oyu said that the protests have led to a shortfall in the development of academic activities across the country. Ruth Wanjiru for KU TV.
Public Service Commission PSC has today launched a report of the values and principles for the year 2021-2022 at the Kenyatta International Convention Center, Nairobi. President William Ruto, who attended the event, saw 3,900 youth join the public service after completing their internship.
President William Ruto has lauded the Public Service Commission for discharging its duties in accordance with the Constitution and promised that government is planning to facilitate the Commission to ensure an improved service delivery.
I have heard you, Chair, and the Commission on your request on what we need to do to make resources available for the better training, the better preparation of the public service so that they can deliver on their constitutional mandate. And I like the suggestion that you have said we can cut down on the mandazis and entertainment so that we can provide more money for training and mentorship.
At the same time, President Ruto says that the government, in cooperation with PSC, is serving at a critical time when the economic situation in the country is at its worst, coupled with climate change.
We are serving the public at a time of daunting challenges. We are tasked with accelerating economic growth and recovery, ensuring equitable access to opportunity and wealth creation, and also leading our collective adaptation to a ferocious climate situation.
President Ruto has also congratulated more than 3,900 youth who successfully completed their internship programs sponsored by the government and are now joining the public service. He says that government is now set to offer tax incentives to the private and public companies which are willing to offer employment opportunities to the youth. Ruto has also requested PSC to increase the number of youth in the next intake.
We have today 3,900 interns. The next intake, next year, I will suggest that we start with 20,000 next intake. Because I am told those who applied were 31,000 and only 3,900 got an opportunity, not to get a job, but to just have a feel of what government, public service, what the field looks like.
The Constitution has placed the values and principles in Article 10 and 232 at the center of public service delivery. These values begin at the individual officer level as they step up to the institutional level.
Government now wants the Public Service Commission to adapt to changing times as it continues to digitize its services. Joseph Kess, KUTV.
Thank you, Joseph Kess, for that exclusive report. We are taking our first short break right here at the KUTV Primetime News. We'll be back with an exclusive interview with counseling psychologist Wanjiru Gathengi, a conversation you don't want to miss out. Keep your feedback and comments coming on our social media handles at KTV_Kenya, at Mercy IMBINDA. The hashtag is KUTV Primetime News. Don't go too far.
What's up, fashionistas? Looking for a show that brings you the latest in the world of fashion, glamour, creativity, and style? Fashion Diaries got you started as we explore street fashion, modeling, runways, red carpet events, and so much more.
Catch me, Ashley and Sachi, as we unlock the greatest fashion events. Keep it locked.
I say, some people look at me and they're like, oh, Tab is a software engineer, or why are you not doing software engineering? I could do it, I can code if I want to, but is that where my passion is? No, for me that thing that I loved was community, and when I realized that, I was doing it as a voluntary thing, but when I realized that, oh, this is something that you can actually do it as a career, so I said, okay, I made the switch because it's something I can do very well at any point in time. And even some of the products like Google Crafts, if you ask me about it, I can really tell you about it without even having to look at any point, you know.
To the Church O'Clock Show. I'm your host, Esther Becky.
And my name is DJ Tero.
We start you off with a word of prayer and get you started with a live transformational worship experience. And have our minds renewed by the word of God on the word segment.
And not forgetting new music za hii wiki, yani ndakuwa bado nawapatia pale wasanii wamekuwa kiwakali. So make sure manzo umetune in because zitakuwa zina flow pia pale mixes kwa wingi, yani zitakuwa zina come through, and pia performance yani from our gospel artist hapa on Gospel Art
from 7 to
10 a.m. only on KUTV.
We process the chili, which means we dry it before we can move on to the next phase. So when we pick our chili, we pick chili every 2 weeks. By that time, they've turned red, nice and red. They start off as a flower, turn green, and then when they're red is when we pick. And I've never tasted a chili as good as it, so I said, why not do this?
Focus on Health is a show that creates awareness on matters health and informs you on various diseases, their causes, treatment, prevention, coping, and support. So join me, Bwari Michelle, every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. only on KUTV. You can also follow us on our social media platforms at KUTV Focus on Health on Facebook and also on YouTube, and Health Focus on Instagram, because your health is your wealth. Stay safe and stay healthy.
Welcome back. Public protests for human rights violation, political outcries and revolutions have been held in different parts of the world since time immemorial. And some popular protests include anti-Iraq war protests in the year 2003, the Baltic Way in the year 1989, George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter, and the recent anti-government protests witnessed in South Africa, Nigeria, Tunisia, and here in the country, where it was led by Azimio chief Raila Odinga. This marking the second week of the mass action protests. And just like any other protests, human rights issues are arising. Matters to do with police brutality, livelihoods have been disrupted through the destroying of property, injuries, and in worst case scenarios, death. Whether we like it or not, the impact of these protests are felt every inch by the society, by families, by children. And this is why tonight, counseling psychologist Wanjiru Gathengi joins me in studio to discuss the human rights issues, mental health issues, and the price the community is paying for these protests. Welcome, Wanjiru Gathengi, to our studios.
Thank you very much.
Right, let's get to it. Now, since the protest began 2 weeks ago, we have been receiving disturbing reports of destruction of property, journalists, students, police officers, and other citizens being injured or even losing their lives. And this is so disturbing to the citizens of this country to watch. Wanjiru, how would you describe the mental and emotional state of Kenyans at the moment with regards to the protests?
For sure, there is a huge impact on the mental health of Kenyans and all Kenyans, from the little children who are going to school or who are watching their televisions at home, to the old grandma back in the village who is watching the city go into chaos where the son or the daughter is. And so for sure, as a nation, all of us, we are going through a very, very stressful time. Because on Monday morning, one is not sure how the day will turn out. One is not sure whether tear gas will get into the office or the matatu, or they will even get transport back home, leave alone going to work. So it's a very, very stressful time. There's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of fear. And all these things impact on our mental health. Because mental health, one of the measures of mental health is how one is able to work out their abilities. Now our businesses have been affected, the way we go to work or the way we operate during the day, because we are not sure how the day will turn out, for sure has been affected. So it's really impacting on our mental health, all of us. Even the protesters themselves, every morning they wake up, they are not sure how it will turn out. Will one of us die?
Absolutely.
Will one of us be injured? Even the main political players, they are also not sure how it will be. So it's very, very stressful.
So there are so many uncertainties surrounding this.
Oh, yeah.
And now that you have mentioned the protesters and the people leading, the politicians leading these protests, from a psychological point of view, would you term the protests as coming from an accountability place or from a revenge place?
Now that I'm a Kenyan and I've been in the country for a while, and whatever we are seeing during this time is something that is more historical. And looking at the history of this nation, every time there is an election, there seems to be a lot of tension, and where we get political leaders who become a problem other than giving us a solution, because leaders are meant to give solutions.
Right.
So it's really an appalling state of affairs that this nation is not able or has not matured enough to manage political issues to an extent that it's now impacting on the mental health of our children. For instance, I have a little girl in grade 3,
right?
And she kept asking me, "Mom, why is Raila fighting and yet we have a president?" And now for that little child, they do not understand. They may not fully understand what is happening. To them, it's a fight.
Right.
And a fight, what they have heard about fights is that they are messy, people die.
Right.
So I think it's there is political irresponsibility, I would say. And as a people, the general population, again, we are not able to regulate ourselves, to separate politicians. Because looking at the history, just a few months ago, when there was the handshake government, this same person, the cost of living was, it was still relatively high.
Right.
But these people are singing a different song. When did the song change? So it's really a sad state of affairs. So it's the nation, the political leaders unable to manage the politics of the day.
Right.
And in return, it affects all of us, which is really sad.
It's quite unfortunate.
Yeah, it's very
and
unfortunate.
you're mentioning something about your little girl and the impact that this has on the kids. And I want you to hold on to that thought. We'll come back to that. But before we go to that, let's talk about the people who are involved. The youth are the majority. So why maybe are the youth at the forefront of this?
Young people have a lot of energy, generally. A lot of energy, a lot of time. And for them, to some extent, it may just be fun. I mean, I got nothing to lose other than just sit and watch. I can as well dispense this energy. So for some of the young people who find themselves in it, it's maybe just because of the fun of it, and it's so easy to convince a young person, especially where they have been convinced that you don't have a job because we have the wrong political leadership. And you see, young people are looking for hope at any given time. They are looking for something to latch on.
Right.
And so when somebody seems to speak louder, even when they do not have a clear vision, then young people just follow. So it's unfortunate that our politicians, over the years, we have seen that they have used our young people in the university. Some even young people who are in high school, which is really, really sad.
And it's more of an issue of unemployment, but at the same time, they might also find there's some fun to it.
I wouldn't say it's an employment per se. Because for sure, even years back, when we hear that there were more jobs, there were still people who were unemployed.
Right.
Of course, the population is bigger, but we are having a population that is more educated, more people who are educated without formal employment. Because for a long time, we had left the informal employment for people who many people who were in employment but had started side hustles in the informal sector.
Right.
So it's like they were leading the economy both in the formal and in the informal. And the young people looked at the informal sector like it's for people who are not educated.
Right.
So for for many years, young people could not do the dirty work, as they called it, the farming, those technical jobs, a whole engineer.
Everyone wanted a white-collar job.
Yes. So unemployment could be part of it, but a huge part of it, I think it's more the attitude that we have towards work.
Now, coming back to the entire Kenyan society at large, what are the psychological effects of protests and the aftermath of it?
Oh, the psychological impact of protests, a protest like this one, is so deep that it would cause PTSD, which is a disorder that would take some time to treat, because there is a fear. Fear, where will that bullet pass? Will it come through my window or through my wall? Fear, because of lost livelihoods. We've seen businesses that have been burnt. We've seen businesses that are not making money. So for sure, people are going to lose jobs. We've seen people who are not able even to go out and do just their usual jobs. They cannot hawk, they cannot go to the market to buy their stuff, Mama Mboga or that Wanjiko down there. And poverty is one driver of mental illness or mental disability, if I may use that word. Poverty, insecurity, like what we are seeing right now. We also have the issues of just conflicts, because we are seeing a lot of conflicts right now, like what happened in Kibera, where Christians and Muslims. Now that's conflict. You can imagine the tension that is in that community, yet these are people who are neighbors. And all this impacts the mental well-being of the individuals who have been directly involved, and even those of us who are just watching from the comfort of our homes, because you do not know whether after Northlands, will they be coming to our estate or to my home. So it's impacting on our mental health as Kenyans in general. And so it's deep.
So you say the implications cut deeper than we actually know.
Oh, they are deep. They are deep. Watching the blood flow, watching the ambulances, just watching the destruction itself. It's a picture that impacts on one's mental well-being. And it may go longer, because we've hardly recovered from the post-election
violence that happened in 2007.
Yeah, we've hardly recovered from the COVID-19, the deaths that we saw and the economy that was hurting. Again, now we are going through another traumatizing season, so it's deep.
And when we talk about the society, Wanjiru, it is inevitable, as you said, to leave our children in this conversation. Now, will the state of the country have an implication on how the children will grow up? Talk about that.
Oh, for sure. For sure, the way our children grow is affected. Even the way we are as a people right now is affected by the communities where we grew in. And we see some of that impact when some older people who are there when like the bomb blast happened, or when we had a lot of those terror attacks. The story is aligned to that, and the destruction. Like for instance, even when we would see a lot of buildings collapsing, the famous Sunbeam, the one that was in Nairobi, there are people who still talk about it. And maybe just to give you an example of when the first bomb blast happened, it happened in 2008, and in 2018 I saw a patient who had come to my therapy room, and she was having crazy anxiety. It was a lady. And the anxiety, as we tried to peel and to see where did all this begin, it was linked to the bomb blast.
How many years are we talking about?
10 years.
Look at that.
10 years. And she spoke of that day, the conflict they had, the spouse had died in that, and whatever she was going through was linked to that. The guilt, the pain, 10 years later. So it's when our children are growing in such a violent environment right now, it goes deep to the unconscious, and we never know, because now our children have started knowing that Azimio, that people who support Azimio
are the ones fighting.
Are the ones fighting the other one. So they go like, Mom, are you supporting Azimio or
you are for the government?
Yes. So the children already are starting to have a dichotomized thinking, and yet in school they are being given this environment that it doesn't matter your tribe, it doesn't matter your gender, it doesn't matter. Yeah. So it's something that cuts really, it goes very, very deep.
Right. Now, what implications do protests extend to families?
Lost livelihoods. There is also conflict, because you find if me as a wife, I'm like, oh yeah, Baba should have been the president. And maybe my husband is like, does it matter? What value would it have added to the home? So it brings a lot of tension at home.
A lot of divides.
Yes, a lot of divides. Of course, now the way even the family interacts in relation to issues politics changes the environment of the home. Of course, talking of people losing jobs, again, because of the political issue.
Still cuts deep and affects the families in
It
a great
affects
way.
the family. So when the family is living in such an environment where maybe a spouse is not even able to come home after work because of, or coming too late, it really affects the family.
Now, as we almost come to a close, I wanted to talk about the human rights that are violated or infringed during these protests.
Yeah. One, the right to the freedom of movement, because when there is a protest, I no longer, or people no longer go to town on Monday, or they are no longer free. Yeah, they have to fight for their lives. Yeah. Right to even information, because we see a lot of fake news sometimes, because we'll see pictures running across the social media, that were not the actual pictures. And so people are just tortured and polarized in their thinking. And again, this is a mental health, or rather a human right violation. The fact that some people are not even able to access medical care, because on that day, the acute room, or even the ambulances are so busy following the people who are in protest that if somebody calls for an emergency at home, they may not be able to access it fast because of what is happening. So there's a lot of human rights violation, other than the people we are seeing who are being killed. And all this, again, pushes the issue of mental health well-being in the Kenyan population.
Wanjiru, can we do anything about the psychological implications the protests are causing? Because I really understand that it cuts so deep. Can we do anything about it?
Oh, yes. One of the things that we would do, first we need to, and I know this has been said several times, we need to have a dialogue as a nation to really ask ourselves, is this the trajectory that we want to take? That every time we are having a political issue, we have to take it to the streets. The other thing, I take it back to each and every individual, each and every person, you and me. How do you take care of yourself? Could we learn some life skills where we would be able to deal with some of these conflicts? We would be able to do some decision making where I can be able to make a decision and ask myself, yes, a political leader is telling me to go to the streets. What value will it add? Will it reduce the price of sugar? When we fight for 2 days, what will that do to the economy? What will that do to my health as a person? So that from that information, I can be able to make a sober decision and be able to think more of being a solution instead of being a problem. So we can do something right from our own homes, or right from even our own hearts and minds, where we tell ourselves that I will take care of my mental health, I will take care of my health, then I will take care of my neighbor's health, I'll take care of my community's health, and this ripple effect will run or flow to the whole nation.
And I believe that is the call you're extending to the public and to the government and to young people as well.
Yes.
Perhaps you could give us your parting shot as we call it a close.
Seek peace and pursue it. Seek peace as a young person, as a mother, as a father, as a political leader. Seek peace and pursue it. Thank you.
Seek peace and pursue it. I believe as a nation, we really need to have that conversation about the traumatic experiences that we have had as a country. Thank you so much, Wanjiru Gavengi, for that, a counseling psychologist. And we can keep this conversation going on online. Keep your feedback coming on our social media handles at KUTV_Kenya, at Mercy IMBINDA, using the hashtag KUTV Primetime News. We are taking another short break. We'll be back with more. Keep watching. Now moving on, quarry operations in Kandundu area close to Muranga town are now in halt after members of municipal board backed by national government administrators on Wednesday halted the quarry operations in the area following cries from the local residents claiming that the quarry activities have been affecting their daily lives negatively.
Quarry operations in Kadundu area in Muranga County have been halted after members of municipal board backed by national government administrators on Wednesday halted the quarry operations in the area following cries from the local residents claiming that the quarry activities have been affecting their daily lives negatively.
Imekuwa imedestroyiwa, lakini ubaya sana tumeona ya kwamba hao watu wanashimba mawe. Kuna nyumba siko hapa area ambazo mashimo ile imewachwa, hii udongo unaweza kumomonyoka, ihatarishe maisha ya watu wa Muranga municipality.
Tutataka kusema ya kwamba tumeserve hii document ya closure kwa hii hawa watu ambao wanalima kware hapa, and the reason is why tumeserve hii document ni kwamba hawana any approval whatsoever kutoka kwa departments ambazo wanafaa kuwa nazo.
The area assistant county commissioner Esther Mudhoni saying that the national government has liaised with the Muranga county government to issue a closure notice to the quarry. Mudhoni affirmed that failure by the quarry manager to comply to the closure notice will serve as a crime offense.
Kwa hivyo nasihi wenye wanafanya kazi hapa hata wenye wana manage hapa wasikie hii wito for the sake of our people. We have written a letter to the county commander to afanya reinforcement ya polisi, so they have already been issued the notice, so failure to comply to that notice itakuwa crime.
Resident in Kadudu area claimed that the mining activities has led to pollution in the area, saying that the revenue collected from the area cannot compensate for destruction of environment caused by the mines.
Lakini sasa tukiwa mashimo inachimbwa hivi, watu watapanda miti wapi? Kwa hivyo wacha hii maneno iangaliwe vizuri, hizi kwale zifungwe kabisa na wenye wamechimba wafunike hizo mashimo zao kwa sababu ni hatari.
Some of the workers in the quarry have however pleaded with the authorities not to shut down the mines, saying that mining in the quarries is the only source of income, and if closed, they will suffer loss in their businesses.
Kusema hapa ndio sisi tunakujaga kutafuta ajira. Sasa sisi tunaweza sema kama mwenye kazi, boss wetu na county wafuate sheria na sisi tuendelee na kazi.
Tujue sasa watoto wetu watasoma aje, wake wetu watakula aje. Sasa kwa hivyo tungependa tu mkubwa wetu aweze kufuata kanuni ya serikali ndiposa tujue vile tunaweza kulisha watoto wetu.
With the authorities in Muranga County heeding to the call of Kandundu residents to stop mining activities in the area, the quarry manager is now expected to heed to the closure notice issued. James Mureki Mwenda, KUTV.
5 SACCOs are under investigations by the cooperative fraud on allegations of misappropriation of members' savings. This comes after the SACCO Society's regulatory authority signed a memorandum of understanding with the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission to investigate any corruption and misappropriation cases in SACCOs. According to the cooperative's cabinet secretary, Mr. Simon Chelugui, government is making efforts to protect members' savings.
The SACCO Society's regulatory authority has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission to investigate any corruption and misappropriation cases in SACCOs as part of efforts aimed at protecting members' savings. This is according to the Cooperative's Cabinet Secretary Simon Chelugu, who was speaking during the launch of a cooperative digital banking services platform in Mombasa.
We have a number of cases, about 5, which have had, you remember of HSA Corp, EKESA Corp. We have also cases of abuse of funds in a few circles, like, you know, Musco collapse, and there were also complaints filed with the regulator, and all those are part of the investigations which are going on.
Since the signing of the MOU, a number of complaints against SACCO officials have been handled, with the government stating that the landmark deal has helped enhance good corporate governance in SACCOs.
On the Central Liquidity Fund is an idea that we want to roll out. It's still under formation. The policy and regulatory framework is not yet in place, but it's an idea that we are pushing so that we assure safety of money in cooperative and in a bank are same.
Chelugui also says that plans are underway for the rollout of the Central Liquidity Facility this August. This comes as the Cooperative Alliance of Kenya has launched its 800 million shillings Coop Tech platforms that will facilitate information sharing among member SACCOs.
So central liquidity requires that any deposit-taking SACCO will be able to make a deposit, secure it somewhere within the regulator, so that in the event of a challenge, you can be able to call on that fund and service any customer who has come to the bank.
Currently, the SACCOs Society Regulatory Authority is scrutinizing applications from 2,000 non-deposit SACCOs. Yvonne Kemuma, KU TV.
We are taking another short break right here. We'll be back with sports news. Don't go too far.
You need to look for high quality friends.
I'm from Kingston, Jamaica, you know, Portmore. That's my village.
Kanga tu chini hapo ukinyepia ukikatia mademo akipita.
Sina pesa saa hii, nimekuja kukopesa choo.
Leo tunakufunza kwa kuonesha jinsi ya kuandaa mabuyu hapa Talent Junior Academy.
Unachukua kikomo moja cha mabuyu unaingiza kwa sufuria.
Kizoesha mtoto kumfanyia kila kitu.
Naam.
Inawezekana anakuwa lakini haelewi.
Naam.
Alafu hapo sasa masomo yatakuwa hayana maana kabisa.
Pendo halipimwi kwa mizani, pendo halipimwi.
Welcome to Children's Corner. Welcome to
Children's Corner.
Children's
Corner.
Oh my goodness.
Welcome back. Let's look into the sports world. Football stakeholders now want Sports Cabinet Secretary Ababu Namwamba to make public the details of the agreement with the World Football Governing Body FIFA that led to the lifting of Kenya's international suspension, and know if the deal included Nick Mwendwa returning to the helm of Football Kenya Federation FKF. This follows a court ruling stopping a 38 million shillings corruption case against Mwendwa. FKF National Executive Committee NEC member for Coast Region Gabriel Mgendi said Mwendwa was now free to return to the Federation and called for the government FIFA resolutions to be made public. CS Namwamba stated that Mwendwa was to stay out of office until he finished with his court case. During Mwendwa's absence, his deputy Doris Petra has been serving as the acting president. The Mozart Bet Cup round of 16 fixtures will kick off tomorrow with 3 matches on the card. Kenya Premier League side Sofapaka will play against Kibera Best Darajani Gogo at the Police Sacco Stadium in Nairobi from 1 p.m. Division 1 side Rainbow FC will go head-to-head against Tusker FC, who are second in the Football Kenya Federation FKF Premier League at the Kasarani Annex Stadium, while Kenya Police will lock horns with Ulinzi Stars at the Police Sacco Stadium from 3:15 p.m. The Athletics Integrity Unit AIU Chief Executive Officer CEO Brett Clothier has warned that doping cases in the country could rise in the coming days owing to the government's resolve to increase testing. Clothier, who has been in the country for a week-long visit, said the scaling of the testing is a long-term initiative aimed at eliminating the doping menace in the country. The AIU board spoke today as the Anti-Doping Steering Committee handed its report to Sports Principal Secretary Jonathan Mweke at the Ministry of Sports headquarters. Clothier is among the 8 members of the Anti-Doping Steering Committee that was formulated by Sports Cabinet Secretary Ababu Namwamba to combat the doping crisis. Clothier interacted with Kenyan athletes from Uasin Gishu, Elgeyo Marakwet and Nandi counties. And that's sports. And that sports report brings us to a wrap right here at the KUTV Primetime News. Many thanks for joining in tonight, and special thanks to everyone that has made this bulletin a success. Remember, you can get this bulletin on YouTube at KUTV Kenya or on our website at www.kutv.co.ke. Keep your feedback and comments coming on our social media handles at KUTV_Kenya, at Mercy IMBINDA, using the hashtag KUTV Primetime News.
Congratulations, Mercy.
Well, thank you.
Congratulations.
Well, I will be taking a short break from the KTV Primetime News. Goodness. Thank you so much for growing my talent, ensuring that, oh God.
Thank you.
Thank you to the entire KTV fraternity. I am honored. I am humbled. I am so overwhelmed. Thank you.
We shall miss you.
And thank you to every viewer.
And all the best wherever you're going. Remember us, we are your people. You are our person. And we shall keep doing this. So keep doing this. We shall be calling you once in a while to give us stories from wherever you will be. And it's a happy day. It's a sad and a happy day at the same time. We don't want to release you, but we know you're going to conquer the world, and we are so happy for you, Mercy.
Thank you.
We shall miss you so much.
Thank you.
You're beautiful.
Alright, do have yourself a good night, and be sure to catch all our subsequent bulletins right here at KUTV.